Welcome back to Outlaw Woodworking. You know, in my shop, I'm slowly getting more and more tools, and security has become, even though I live in a pretty safe area, security is still something that I kind of, it's peace of mind. And the current system I have is an Arlo system. And I've got about 6 cameras on the outside of my shop, and they're battery operated. And they've been a pain in the butt. The batteries go dead. They don't record good at night. Someone will show up. It won't even catch them until they're already leaving. And so I did some research recently, thinking, now that I have more and more tools in my shop, I want a better security system. And what I learned was, if you have the opportunity to run wires, run a wired system. And in my case, in my shop, it's all trusses and the walls are still open. They have insulation in them, but I can still get a wire down the wall pretty easily. So I chose to go with the 24-hour wired system. Now this is the Eufy system, and this is a Eufy Nvr security system, S4 Max, 8 channels. And I found out about this camera on YouTube. I'm not sponsored by them, paid good money to buy these. And today we're gonna do an unboxing and we're gonna test these things out. This particular system has artificial intelligence, and it'll actually track between cameras. So let's say I'm walking on the outside, it's tracking me, and then when I turn the corner, the other camera automatically knows to go and pick him up when he comes around the corner. And I thought that's probably the best system that I've seen so far. So yeah, we'll run a few wires and we'll mount these on the outside of my shop and we'll give it a test. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's open it up, see what we got. And there's a lot of good videos online about these cameras. And basically, the reason I bought it was they had so many good reviews about them. Kind of clanky. I hope they have. The few videos that I've seen where they did unboxing, they were pretty for manual app and support. So you gotta, right off the bat, you got some warranty information. You've got, looks like, so you got all your wires. Now, my shop's pretty big. My shop's 65, I mean, it's not huge, but for one guy, it's plenty. I think it's 65 by 35, so it's about 2,000 square feet. So they give you, the wires they give you, I think are 50 feet long, 50 or 60 feet long. So I bought some extra wires that were a little longer to be able to do the longer runs. So here's your camera mounts, your waterproof ends, and 4 sets of wires. We'll probably still use a few sets of these wires. So you got 4 mounts. Looks like you got some security stickers, positioning stickers. So that's all your wires. Next up, it looks like this is the DVR. Okay, this box has power cords, your power, it's got your mouse, it's got a internet cable, and power cable. So this is all the power for the DVR. Actually, not DVR. It's called NVR. Sorry about that. And that's out for that box. I've seen these a few times where they're black. This one looks like it's silver. So we got a silver. You can actually, even though we only have 4 cameras, it's got slots for 8 cameras, and you can do up to 16 cameras with this NVR. All right, that looks good. And here's your little instruction, quick start guide. We'll be looking at that in a minute. And hopefully these didn't rattle around too much. And here's your cameras. And like I said, these things, you can rotate on the top, you can rotate them on the bottom, and they'll hold those positions. It has this upper camera you can tilt. Yeah, this is going to be pretty awesome. Okay, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to mount the cameras and run some wires. I'll show mounting a couple cameras, and then we'll jump probably to the NVR. So the one camera that I thought was the hardest was the front of this garage, because on each side of the garage, I've got natural gas heaters inside my garage. And you can see that exhaust right there. I'll put an arrow pointing to it. I didn't want to have it, I kind of wanted it right there, but then I decided I had to put it on the outside corner, and that's not enough. See where I put it right there? It would have been better if it was on the front corner of this garage. And the only reason I didn't put it there was because that exhaust vent from the heater, I was worried that, because I remember when I had an Arlo camera there above the heater, and what happens is in the wintertime when I'm running that heater, the steam from the exhaust would fog up the camera. So I decided to put this camera on this outside corner here. And what I might do in the future is make a pole that's a little further out from the corner of the garage so it doesn't interfere with that exhaust. And what I might do is make a pretty decorative piece where I can put that camera out further and have it facing the front. So it's kind of it's definitely so the first one that I put it on the right side corner, which was not ideal, and it really doesn't even work that good. It works really good, but the position is not great. So on the front of the garage, I decided, because it's such a wide garage, I'd put one right in the middle, and then on this side of the garage, you know, I'm able to put it on the corner and face it towards the back of the garage along that walkway. So even though it'll miss the door itself down at the bottom, I'm planning on putting a Eufy doorbell in down there, so I don't think that will affect the overall position. And then the same thing, I did make, you know, even though it works good, I put another one in the middle of so I've got one on the middle of the garage in the back, and a middle of the garage on the front, and then I got one on each corner on the sides of the garage. Now you can see right here, I've also got a Wi-Fi booster there, so I'm putting it kind of off center a little bit to avoid being next to that booster too close. But ideally, this would have been better if it was all the way down on the left and pointed down the side. Although when I show you how it works, you'll notice that, you know, it does cover the back of the house currently. So you do have to play around with it. And right here, I'm running all the wires down to a little position here. So my office is actually to the right where that door is. But I didn't want to have my DVR and all these wires and stuff in my office. So I'm actually putting the DVR, I'm going to put the DVR in its own little cabinet, and basically right here in the corner here above this freezer. And it was pretty easy to install this, I must say. Right here, I'm just tidying all the wires down here, and I'm getting everything cleaned up, kind of get it ready so that I can try it out. And yeah, everything actually went really well. The only thing I could say is, when you're installing your cameras, really think it through. Even though I'm real happy with how my cameras are working, I just think I could have possibly done some better positioning. And right here, I'm doing the final little tidying of the wires. Okay, so this was really easy to install. So basically, you saw me hang all the cameras. I ran wires through my attic or through the trusses up here, and then I came right down this hole right here because my plan is I'm gonna build a cabinet right here that I can store the DVR in and also store some of my garage kitchen stuff here. And so first thing I did was I mounted the cameras, ran all the wires to this spot, and then I just followed the directions right here. And it actually went super easy. So the first thing you do, I'll just go through the instructions real quick. First thing you do is actually you connect your NVR to your router. So I connected my router wire right to it. That's the first thing I did. Then I go to the second page. You connect your mouse. And in my case, so if you see right here, I've got no monitor here. But what I wanted to do was have this DVR out here and have my monitor inside my office, and I'll show you that in a minute. So what I did was I didn't use the mouse that they sent. I used a wireless mouse. And that worked not bad through this wall, but it's not perfect, but it did work. The next thing you do after you connect your mouse, you connect all your cameras. And basically, you have ports on the back. You have actually 8 ports here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these first 4 is where I plugged in the cameras. And then the next one is your internet. And then the next one here is your HDMI. So you connect all the cameras. Then once you have the camera, so you have your cameras hooked up, you have your HDMI hooked up, you have your internet hooked up, then you go ahead and plug it in and give it power. And then once you have power to it, then you basically just, this is all set. Then you go in, use your wireless mouse, and you go through the procedure of setting it up. And it is super easy. And then of course you could add more cameras later. You could put it on your phone. I've already put it on my phone, my wife's phone, and I've already put an app on my computer. And actually starting to get used to that. You kind of have to get a feel for that. And then I've also adjusted some of my cameras. I think I could have done a better job with my camera mounting, positioning, but I kind of have a weird garage. It's really high in the front, it's really wide. Then on this side, I've got rocks to contend with. So if I get it too high, then it's not looking down. There's a lot of stuff. But I think the few blind spots that I have, I'm gonna order a ring, or not a ring, I'm gonna order a Eufy doorbell for here and for up at that house up there. And then I think I'm gonna add another wired camera to the front that just looks down the side really good. And I'm gonna add a few more cameras probably. But these 4 actually, I'll show you what we'll do is we'll set the camera up looking straight at my monitor, and then I'll go walk outside and walk around the whole property. And there's a few blind spots, but I'm gonna address that later. Anyway, yeah, as far as a security camera system, this is probably the best one I've seen or I've ever had. I have had some pretty high-tech security systems, but they weren't tracking and they didn't have any artificial intelligence. So I'm pretty happy with that. Anyway, let's get to the monitor and I'll show you what it can do. Okay, here's where I come out of the garage, and you should pick me up right there, right by that planter. And it says a human has been detected. Someone has been detected. And there you can see it's actually zooming in, following me around. So one camera, actually two cameras have me. You can see it in the upper left, and now it just lost me there, but it still has me in the upper left one. And then you can see as it starts walking around, it should zoom in and pick me up right up on that corner up there. As soon as it goes, see now right there, you can see it in that middle screen. The top one's a fixed one, but the middle one is a tracking one. So it's actually following me and zooming in as it goes. It's pretty impressive. I do have some more work to do as far as I want to add some more cameras. I have no cameras up at this back house currently. And you can see right there, it's going to lose me, but it's going to pick me up on the bottom one. And you can see it already has me on the fixed part on the bottom, but it's going to eventually, see that's pretty far away, but it still has me in the very bottom middle, and well, both the left and the middle. But it should zoom in at some point when it figures out, see right there, that one started zooming in because it says, oh, human's been detected or someone's been detected. And now it'll do a little better job tracking me. You really need, like currently this is 4 cameras, and it's a lot of pine cones fell down there. We rake that all the time. That was just in the last couple of days, those pine cones. So right here you can see I'm coming back to the garage from the other corner, the rear corner of the garage, and now I'll come around this corner, and then it'll pick me up in the top middle and the middle, and then you kind of lose it right there. And you can see up in the very left, it's picking me up a little bit, but it didn't track me very good on that left side. So all in all, it can do a better job for sure, and it's just a matter of me positioning the cameras a little more correctly. Anyway, yeah, Eufy camera system. This particular one, I would have to give it a thumbs up. This is the 4 PoE. So PoE means power over Ethernet. So these are basically one wire powers them and runs the wire for you. I think the wired version is the best way to go. I am going to test out, so I'm going to get another wired camera to add to the garage, but I'm going to test out some solar Eufy cameras for that upper house and see if I can connect the whole system together. Anyway, on behalf of me and Bigfoot, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you next time. Later.